All right, let's just get right into it. We are tackling a topic that's, well, it's a little sensitive, but it's so important. We're talking about what to do when you're dealing with incompetent school leadership. Think of this as your guide to navigating a really tough situation, all while keeping your job and your sanity intact. So, does this question hit a little too close to home? I mean, if you've ever felt totally unsupported or misunderstood or just plain frustrated by the decisions coming from the top, you know exactly how draining it can be, right? It can turn a job you absolutely love into a constant uphill battle. Well, the first thing I want you to hear, and really hear this, is you are not alone in this, not by a long shot. So what we're going to do here is break down the why, the psychology behind this kind of leadership, and most importantly, we're going to lay out a practical, step-by-step survival guide. First things first, let's just acknowledge the challenge itself. Because, it's often the elephant in the room, something a lot of people feel, but nobody really talks about. Now, let's be super clear about something. The vast, vast majority of school leaders, they're dedicated, they're passionate, they're skilled professionals. But that doesn't change the fact that, for some teachers, dealing with a leader who is just completely in over their head is a real and, frankly, a very isolating day-to-day struggle. So, what's going on here? Why does this even happen? To really get a handle on it, we've got to look at a little bit of psychology and the common ways this whole problem usually plays out. Okay, so one of the most fascinating reasons for this comes from psychology, and it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's this wild idea that your leader might genuinely believe they're doing an amazing job. Why? Because the very skills they're missing are the same skills they would need to recognize their own incompetence. They literally cannot see the problem. And this right here, this is a huge piece of the puzzle. Think about it. The skills that make someone a phenomenal teacher, engaging students, managing a classroom, knowing the curriculum inside and out, are completely different from the skills you need to lead a team of adults, or manage a budget, or navigate the maze of district administration. That promotion can be a massive, and sometimes completely unsupported, leap to a whole new skill set. Okay, so what does this actually look like day to day? Well, it often shows up as a leader who seems totally oblivious to how the staff is feeling. You see failed communication, you feel a real lack of support, and you see some really questionable decisions about money and resources. Yep, these are the classic red flags. And this is where the problem really starts to snowball, because it's never ever just about one person's performance. The actions of an incompetent leader create this negative ripple effect that can end up touching every single person in the building. When leadership fails, trust just evaporates. It's gone. And what happens next? Teachers get stressed out. They get burned out. And job satisfaction just tanks. And, inevitably, when the teachers are struggling, that stress trickles down and it hits the quality of education our students are getting. That's the bottom line. That's why this matters so much. Sometimes this whole thing goes beyond just simple incompetence and morphs into something way more toxic. There's this really powerful idea that a bully isn't acting from a place of strength, but is actually wearing a mask, a defense mechanism to hide a deep, deep sense of professional insecurity. So why? Why would a leader ever resort to this kind of defensive behavior? What on earth are they so afraid of? Well, it really all boils down to one thing. Fear. Let's break that down. A leader who is terrified that their own shortcomings will be exposed, they might turn to aggressive micromanagement to control everything. A fear of being held accountable, well, that can lead to constantly deflecting blame onto others. And a fear of anyone disagreeing with them, that can create a hostile environment where nobody feels safe enough to speak up. You see, the defensive actions are a direct reaction to their own internal anxieties. Okay, we've spent some time diagnosing the problem. Now for the most important part. What can you, as a professional, actually do about it? Let's get into some real, actionable strategies. All right, here is the single most important mindset shift you can make. You can't control your leader. You just can't. But you can control your classroom. Focusing on your own sphere of influence, that space where you have real power and can make a real difference. That is the first and honestly, the most effective step you can take. So, here it is, your 5-step survival guide. Number 1, control your classroom. Make it a sanctuary of positivity for your students. 2, build your peer network. Find solidarity and support with colleagues you trust. 3, find a mentor, a respected veteran teacher who can give you some much-needed perspective. 4, Get methodical. Document everything. And when you communicate, use professional, solution-focused language. And finally, number 5, know your rights. Understand your contract inside and out, and know when it's time to seek formal support. Let's look at a really clear example of what that professional communication sounds like. So instead of saying something accusatory like, "You never give us enough time," which is just going to make them defensive, try reframing it. "I could complete this more effectively with a clearer timeline." See the difference? It's calm, it's professional, and it's focused on getting the job done, not on placing blame.
Look, at the end of the day, this isn't about winning some kind of fight. This is about professional survival. These strategies, they're all designed to protect your well-being, your career, and that passion that brought you into education in the first place.
And I just want to leave you with this one final thought. I know that navigating a situation like this is incredibly, incredibly challenging. But what if you could reframe it? By honing your communication skills, by building stronger professional networks, by becoming an expert on your own rights, how can this really tough experience actually end up making you a stronger, more resilient educator in the long run?